Can you see me?
We see you, we hear you. You take it away, you can introduce the film.
Hey, good evening, dear Miamians. Wish I could be there with you, but it's not bad here in the Northwest as well, in Seattle. I have a question to you before I say anything, and Robert has to help me. How many of you in the audience, I know you've been asked things before tonight, but I have another question. How many of you have seen a live performance by Pina Bausch?
There's maybe like 12, 15 maximum out of 141.
So if I ask the reverse question, how many of you have never seen it? A lot of people lift their arms, right?
Yes, we're getting, the rest of them are lifting their arms, exactly.
Because that is my target group, right there. I made the film for you guys. And I think...
Lots of applause.
I think I would have considered myself the most unlikely director to make a dance film. I wasn't really into dance. I must admit, I freely admit that. I saw some classic ballet, I saw some modern dance. I don't know, it wasn't for me. I just didn't have the antennas for it. So, one night in the mid-1980s, a while ago, my girlfriend and I, we were in Venice, Italy, which is a fantastic place. And she saw a poster announcing an event and a retrospective by a certain Pina Bausch, and she said, "That's what I want to see tonight." And I said, "Oh no." I gathered from the poster that this was a dance event, and I had different ideas what you can do on a night out in Venice. But you already guessed, I caved in. Ready for a boring evening, and it turned out to be the night of my life. It changed my life. After 5 minutes into the first piece we saw that night, that was Cafe Müller, I found myself on the edge of my seat crying, weeping, and it didn't stop until Cafe Müller ended. I did not know what hit me. My mind just was lagging far behind. It didn't understand. Because this was dance, and it concerned me and moved me like nothing ever before. I just couldn't fathom it. My body sort of understood and was fine with everything, but my mind just was lagging far behind. I cried my heart out. I needed the whole intermission to gather my senses. And then the second piece started, and that was The Rites of Spring. And that totally did me in. I was devastated. I only knew at the end of that night I needed to meet that woman. She had shown me a whole new world. She had opened up a huge door, and I was eternally grateful for that, but I needed to meet her. And I did, even in Venice. Actually, we prolonged our stay. I saw each and every piece in that retrospective, and I got an instant overdose of Pina Bausch, and actually met her in Venice. And we became friends over the years. We became good friends. And very soon the idea of a movie was on the table. Actually, it was me in my juvenile enthusiasm who suggested it. And Pina was a bit skeptical, but after a while she got used to the idea, and then it was her who was sort of pushing for it, and she got a little impatient after a number of years. Wim, you've been talking about this movie, let's do it. So there I was, and I was in trouble. Because as much as I wanted to do a film about Pina's work and about her eyes and how she saw and how she was deciphered and show us body language like nobody ever before, when I sat down and tried to figure out how to do such a film, I was at a loss, and I realized I did not know how to do it. And I felt very painfully so that my craft was somehow not good enough. And the tools I had at my disposal weren't all that great, and I was sure I couldn't capture the magic and the glory of Pina's work. And because you could only tell the truth to Pina, you could never tell a lie to her. She would see right through it. I told her, Pina, I don't know how to do it. It's like there's an invisible wall between what you do on stage and what I can do with cameras, and I don't want to disappoint you. I don't know how to do it. You have to give me more time. I have to figure this out. And Pina was patient with me. She said, well, think harder. So I did think harder. I actually watched every dance film in the book, and I realized there was something wrong quite in general between film and dance. Something was always missing. Couldn't put my finger on it. Became sort of a running gag between Pina and me. Whenever we met, she'd look at me quizzically and she says, well, do you know now? And I would just, Pina, not yet. Give me a little more time. Eventually, she wouldn't even ask me anymore. She would just raise her eyebrows and I would just shrug my shoulders and that was it, and we would laugh. But we were serious about it, and I was really serious about it. I wanted to do it, but I did not know how. And the solution, I didn't find it in my heart. I didn't find it in my brain. I found it one day in an area where I had not looked before. I found it in a new technology, in a whole new medium, a whole different tool. I saw in 2007, the spring of 2007, I saw a film, maybe some of you have seen it, U2 3D was my first, yes, it's a fantastic title, was my first digital 3D film. I love the music, that's why I went, and I thought we were going to have fun. And instead there I was, staring at the screen. I almost didn't listen to the music anymore, I just saw the possibilities. And the big possibility was clear. This was the language that we'd been looking for. And it was all of a sudden so obvious. What I had been missing all the time in the possibilities of my cameras was space. And there it was for the first time, actually a new tool. And I could enter into the very element of dancers, because that is space. With every gesture, every movement, they conquer space. And space in cinema was always fake. It was always make-believe. Whatever we do with our cameras, as fancy as we move the camera, in the end it ends up on a two-dimensional screen and it is, well, fiction. Space was always fiction. And for the first time, I realized I can enter into the realm of the dancers. I can be with them. And I felt this was the solution. I felt very, very sure that between this new medium and dance, there was a great affinity. And this was the solution to our problem. This was the eureka moment. As soon as the movie was over, the end credits were still rolling. I called Pina on the phone and I said, Pina, I think we can do it now. And that's when we started actively preparing the film together. Over almost 2 years. And that's how long it took because Pina's immediate reaction when I said we can do it now was, well, which of my pieces are we going to film? It was a crucial question because we couldn't film all of them. By then it was 40. We could consider filming a maximum of 4, because that's as many as the company could put on the schedule in one city, and they had to be rehearsed, they had to be on stage, they had to be in public performances, otherwise we wouldn't have the means to shoot them. And the earliest possible was in the fall of 2009, and that gave us our start date. It gave me, luckily, a year and a half to prepare the film and look into 3D and find out if this wasn't just a pipe dream, this new technology, but if there was a reality to it. And we needed a year and a half to really get ready because 3D was in its infancy. Avatar was a rumor only. Actually, Avatar only came out when we had already shot most of our film. And I'm eternally grateful to James Cameron for this movie, because before Christmas of 2009, when Avatar came out, whenever I said I'm going to make a dance film in 3D, everybody just said, "Oh yeah? Can we see this normally as well?" And after Avatar, we looked much more respectable, and people started to believe that this was maybe something real. So it took us a long time, and the German consul already told you what happened when we were almost ready. The unimaginable happened. I mean, we were so close. After 20 years, after more than 20 years of thinking and then of preparing, we were so close. And then this phone call came one day that Pina was no longer with us and that she had passed away. And, well, as you know, I walked away from the movie, and if it wasn't for the dances, I would have never considered coming back to it. And it was their encouragement and the common realization that, well, we couldn't make the film with Pina anymore, but we could make a film for Pina. And this film would be important for us, the living, just as well as a tribute to Pina, because none of us have been able to say goodbye or thank you to Pina, and maybe our film could be our way to do that. And so we went into it from one day to another, jump-started it, and didn't have a new concept because it was just too quick. The film we wanted to do together, Pina and I, had a very elaborate concept. The film we were going to make, the dancers and I, had to be a different film. And that's what you're going to see tonight. And, please don't be scared. I'm not going to show you anything droopy or sad. When we thought of Pina, we always realized how much she liked to laugh and how joyful she was. And also, in the hardest time of her own life, after a big loss in her life, when she lost her life's companion, she did some of her most joyful work, and dance was her answer to all the hardships of life and also to death. And we realized if we were going to make this film for Pina, she wouldn't be happy if this was going to be a sad affair. So our work of mourning was also a joyful work. And I'm happy to take you now out of Miami for 100 minutes into a little industrial town in Germany called Wuppertal. I know you're going to be in for a great trip. I very much hope it'll turn some of you who think, well, dance is not for me, into the same dance aficionado that I became once I saw Pina's work. I wish you all a good evening. Wish I could see you. Take good care. Bye.